I don't know about y'all, but when it comes to superheroes, I personally just love backshots. More specifically, I really appreciate some good backshots with Superman.
Hold on, pause.
It's alright, relax, you don't have to hide your baby oil. I appreciate when the camera or comic panel shows a hero like Superman with the cape flapping, giving off a strong sense of inspiration or aura.
So why don't you just say that? I mean, what the every time I come over here, you always gotta take me through this homosexual rigmarole, man, with your terminology, man. What the is wrong with you, man?
Despite being the most recognizable superhero on the planet and the most influential, essentially creating the archetype of the modern hero, Superman is arguably the most overhated and most misunderstood comic book character. You'll hear ad nauseum how much of a Boy Scout Superman is and that he's too boring, no personality, too overpowered, yada yada yada. Just a whole bunch of dialect in Japanese. It's really sad because it goes to show you how little Superman has been depicted correctly in modern times. Live action movies have always been the primary way general audiences are exposed to these characters. These people couldn't care less to pick up a comic, toppled with the fact that WB had been neglecting the character on the big screen for so long. Imagine treating your most important character with that much disrespect. The James Gunn Superman movie has a lot of heavy lifting to do, not only in jumpstarting a brand new universe, but also putting the entire general audience onto Superman again, because we haven't had a live action theatrical Superman movie since 2013. On a surface level, it may seem nearly impossible to craft a compelling Superman story. I mean, he's got all the power, he's pure at heart, no inherent flaws on the surface level to tell an engaging story. Superman's intrigue doesn't stem from what new bad guy he can defeat that's just as strong or even stronger than he is. You don't need to manifest a multitude of weaknesses or depower him just so that he doesn't become boring. Superman was never a bland character to begin with. I think an aspect of Clark Kent that often gets overlooked is how from time to time he feels a strong sense of loneliness, being an outsider from another planet, and the thought of not being accepted and universally hated on. Because so many people say Superman is such a flawless character.
How do you handle stories about Superman or Wonder Woman who are not flawed and are basically gods?
Well, I'm not writing Wonder Woman. I am writing Superman.
I know.
But I think that's, you know, Superman's flawed. I mean, not all characters have flaws. It's not as if he's not flawed. But he's also probably not, he's not flawed in the same way Peter Quill is. Peter Quill's a mess.
Right.
He's not flawed. Peter Quill isn't flawed in the same way Rocket Raccoon is flawed. Rocket Raccoon's a real mess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, these are really deeply injured characters, and Superman is different than that.
The purpose of Superman isn't for you to go, hey, look at this guy, he's so incredibly powerful and OP, what an amazing comic character. That's mainly the reason why casual audiences grow to dislike Superman as a whole, because they misunderstand his intrigue. It's not about what new power he's unlocked like Goku or something, it's about what he represents in the modern day. Someone who inspires others like you and me to be the best we can be.
The hope for tomorrow that your alien friend spoke of. You are that hope. I see everyone's fate. You will lead this generation as Hawkman once led ours. It will be a different age than ours, Clark. They look up into the sky at you with hope. You will help everyone to embrace it.
Superman's innate goodness, ironically, would make him stand out even more in modern times because we live in a world where kindness is often seen as old-fashioned. So many writers think you have to update Superman to fit in the modern day when that completely misses the point of his character. Stories like Kingdom Come or What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which would later be adapted in the Superman vs. the Elite animated movie, work so well because they tackle the notion of Superman being seen as ineffective as you have younger, more brash anti-heroes or vigilantes taking matters into their own hands. Superman's desire to set a better example, or simply his innate moral decency, isn't solely a result of his powers. I think people miss the mark on Superman's personality mainly stemming from his upbringing with Jonathan and Martha Kent. Their guidance and Clark being raised by them is the primary reason as to why he is the man he is today. Clark Kent is practically just as human as anyone else. He crash landed on Earth as an infant, grew up with two loving parents in Smallville, Kansas. That's part of what makes him so interesting, because most people would take an alternate route if they discovered they had powers like Clark Kent. It would be more realistic if someone became the next Homelander if they had those abilities. It would be a little less realistic to have someone as innately good as Superman, but that's the point. These heroes that we like so much are meant to inspire us. They represent what we aspire to be like. How many mofos trying to be like Batman in real life? I know damn well a lot of y'all saw a montage of Bruce Wayne training in the Batcave or something. That 2 a.m. motivation be hitting different. Got people like, yeah bro, I'm basically Batman. Oh man, you're living in a dream world if you think heroes are gonna be morally good like that. Brother, that is the whole point.
My heroes didn't fucking, you know, lie to America. My heroes didn't, you know, embezzle money from their my heroes didn't fucking commit any atrocities. I'm like, that's cool, but you're living in a fucking dream world, okay?
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better. And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting. Ever.
People really underestimate how relatable Superman or a Clark Kent actually is to the common man. Writer of All-Star Superman, Grant Morrison, said it best, going over how Superman is essentially the story of the everyman. Everyone has their own fortress of solitude they retreat to, their own super pets. Clark goes to work in an office. He has friends, family, and loved ones, just trying to do the best he can every day at a time. Superman is a metaphor by having the same problems as everyone else, but on a much larger scale. If Superman walks the dog, he can walk it around the asteroid belt because the dog can fly in space. It may seem out of left field if Superman's got relatives visiting from the 31st century, but it's still a story about your relatives visiting. Superman's supporting cast is also something crucial to his mythos, seeing Clark Kent interact with people who work at the Daily Planet and how he builds relationships with those around him, whether it would be with his best pal Jimmy Olsen or his profound soulmate Lois Lane. The fact that there are people on this planet that have such a massive hate boner for Lois Lane, saying she's an annoying damsel in distress that offers nothing of value to Superman's character, or the sentiment that the Lois relationship is boring and very vanilla.
Maybe your father didn't spend enough time with you. Maybe your mother didn't spend enough time. You didn't get the type of attention from your parents.
First of all, Lois Lane is anything but vanilla, alright? She's a whole freakazoid. And second, she's not only interesting because she's tied so heavily with Superman. Lois is fearless and tenacious in the face of a threat. She's absolutely determined that the people deserve the truth, constantly embodying the ideal investigative reporter. Lois's commitment to her work conveys her strong sense of integrity and intelligence, which often has her at odds with those in power, demonstrating her bravery. She's got the perfect blend of brash and witty, which perfectly contrasts with Clark Kent's more mild-mannered approach. One of my favorite issues of just showing either Batman or Superman interacting with one another is when they went on a double date, Batman with Catwoman and obviously Superman with Lois. The four of them go to the Gotham County Fair, which requires the people there to dress up in superhero costumes, so Bruce and Clark get the bright idea to switch costumes since people would figure they would look way too much like their alter egos. And then you also got Lois Lane in a Catwoman suit. The bond between Batman and Superman especially got to be one of the best in comics, period. Them boys are noted as the world's finest for a reason. Get out of here with that. Who would win in a fight between Superman and Batman with prep time?
Wait, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up!
Bro, who cares? They're literally homies. That's the type of dynamic you aspire to have with you and your homeboy. Batman and Superman have such a grand mutual respect for one another. Superman is Batman's personal favorite hero out there. It's gotten to a point where Superman knows Batman's heartbeat in and out almost as well as Lois. You also can't overlook the dynamic between the members of DC's Trinity. It's almost like a sibling dynamic whenever they share a comic panel, which should also be the case when they're all together on screen. You have moments of them just bonding or hanging out with one another, showcasing that they're really close friends. They can comfort one another after a heavy loss or stand together to fight against a grand threat. The overpowered argument is a pretty weak defense in trying to prove that Superman fails as a compelling hero, as if writers don't find ways for him to be challenged both physically and mentally on a consistent basis, as if he doesn't have a large rogues gallery that can give him a tough time, or there's people just disliking how many abilities Superman has at his disposal. There are several fictional characters out there that get insane power-ups almost every time they're on screen, yet those characters don't get nearly as much pushback. Way more people complain about Superman than Goku, for instance. Oh, he not beating Goku though, he got nothing against my glorious Goku. Now, I don't care if you think Superman loses or wins against Goku in a hypothetical 1v1. That's not the point I'm trying to get at. I just find it funny how you'll have people who complain about Superman being overpowered and having too many abilities in his arsenal, but they'll say with their bare chest confident that Goku solo's no diff. And those people have no complaints about the numerous forms Goku can choose from and how OP he is. Some of these folk cry about Superman's basic post-crisis abilities, yet rave about Super Saiyan forms 1 through 4, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, dumbest name for a transformation ever, so they just went with Super Saiyan Blue with Kaioken, Ultra Instinct, and that's just Goku. Man, Superman is too powerful and OP, Death Battle just be glazing him for real. Oh yeah, he's for sure not beating Goku though, he's too powerful.
Huh?
You could make the argument it's because Goku consistently goes up against foes more powerful than him that he has to train for, but people have this false assumption that because Superman is so powerful, he wins every fight he's in with ease, which couldn't be further from the truth. Superman will have a tough time against magic users, characters who are highly intelligent that can outmaneuver him, or characters that are just insanely powerful and can box. We as a society can finally evolve once the Superman slander no longer becomes the norm. 90% of the Superman trash talk comes from people who have never picked up a single Superman comic in their life, basing their stances on the character on how poorly he's been depicted in media. Or they'll see feats of pre-crisis Superman or Superboy Prime doing something insane on a TikTok short, then use that as fuel for going, see, he's so overpowered, why does he need the Justice League? It just reads off as corny the way some people hate on Superman, as if he's not one of the greatest superheroes ever created and revolutionized the comic book genre. Put some respect on my mans.